The East is, Ben Simmons can't shoot. The Knicks can't shoot. Giannis can't shoot. It's not the same conference. We know the NFC East is not the AFC West at the top or the NFC. We get that. But what I did talk about earlier, Trae Young is great, and I do think, I said the other day, the 10 best young players under 25 in the league. I put Luka 1, I put Trae Young 2nd, and I got some blowback on it. And I said,
that's right.
There's a lot of stuff with Trae Young beyond the scoring, which is obvious. The confidence. He gets others involved. I think he is the number 1 point guard in the East. Is that a little too much too early?
It's not too much, not after this playoff run. So there's a lot to unpack here. Your old buddy Bill Simmons made the right comparison. That people are comparing him to Steph. He's not a dead-eye shooter. He's a good shooter.
Yeah.
But he's not Steph or Dame, even though he takes Steph and Dame shots. The comp Simmons made, that's right, is Steve Nash. Because it's the playmaking that makes him so impossible. And you saw last night, Brooklyn wishes they were there. Milwaukee, with their drop coverage, he just is going to kill you on floaters. He's incredibly confident. And Colin, when we're talking playoff debuts, Magic Johnson, as far as his first season in the playoffs, is the gold standard. Trae could be moving into second place. LeBron had a great one, but only made round 2. Then you've got to go all the way back to Dr. J, but Dr. J wasn't really his playoff debut because he had all the ABA runs, Rick Barry, Lou Alcindor. Now we're talking about 45, 50 years ago. For him to be scoring 30 a night, 10 assists, have a team with no other all-stars, this deep into the playoffs. And by the way, he's had to go through the 3 best, most physical defenses in the East.
Yeah.
The Knicks, the Sixers, and now the Bucks. Your point on point guard. So I think most people would say, if you don't consider Harden a point guard, which I understand, that the best point guard in the East is Kyrie Irving. Well, Trae Young is doing something in these playoffs Kyrie Irving had an opportunity to do. In 2019, with a better roster around him in Boston, Kyrie played a worse Bucks team, and not only did they lose to them, they lost in 5, and Kyrie was 6 for 19, he was 7 for 21. He was bad. And so I do think Trae Young is the second best young player. I think he's past Donovan. I think he's past Booker. I think he's past Zion, who I adore. I think he's past Tatum. I think only Luke is ahead of him. And I think he's the second best point guard, the best point guard in the East. I totally agree with you, 100%.
So when the Clippers fell down to the Mavs, a source inside the Clippers said, we're going to win this thing, watch. And they did. When they fell behind to Utah 0-2, I said on the air, the Clippers are going to win the series. They're down 0-2 to Phoenix, and not just because Chris Paul is coming back and Kawhi probably isn't, but I don't think this is lightning in a bottle. I compare the Suns yesterday to the Seahawks, that first team that won the Super Bowl. The year before, they were 6-5 and got hot, and the Seahawks then got knocked out of the playoffs. The next year, you watched them and thought, they are so far and away the best team in the league, it's not close. What is happening? Phoenix last year in the bubble, you're like, ooh, they're pretty good. They weren't great. And you're watching right now, and I said, like the Seahawks, you're saying to yourself, well, they look way better than everybody, and they have a similarity. The Seahawks and the Suns, young players, all peaked. 2 or 3 young players, like, wow, with a great leader. And what you're seeing, Monty Williams, Pete Carroll, coaches who have been fired, but been around, they harness that. And so I look at Phoenix, and I think, this thing's over, and I'm not sure it goes 6.
Oh, you and I don't often agree on so much. We agree on a lot here. Colin, do you remember the game where LeBron was backing down Jay Crowder and Andre Drummond was pantomiming it on the sideline?
Yeah.
That game in round 1?
Yeah.
I don't know how long ago that feels to you. To me, it feels like it was months ago. Since then, not only have the Suns not lost, they have trailed in the fourth quarter since then for 25 seconds. They have just rolled through everybody. Game 2 obviously was incredibly close and great finish. And the Clippers, on the other hand, it's not only that they're without Kawhi. It's that tonight will be their 16th game in the last 32 days.
Yeah, it's brutal.
They're not just out of bullets. They have thrown the gun at the guy, and now they're trying to go tackle him.
Yeah.
They're spent. Ty Lue has made amazing adjustments.
Yeah.
And by the way, they could win tonight. I think they might win tonight. But I think with no Kawhi, with a Suns team that got half a week off after beating the Lakers, a full week off after sweeping the Nets, and now, depending on how Chris Paul reacted to, the COVID protocol, assuming he was asymptomatic, he's just rested. Yeah. And they're up 2-0. I think there's going to be no slander from me on the Clippers. I think what they've done in this postseason has been great. But the Suns are the healthier, more rested, better team right now.
Yeah.
I don't think they can win 4 out of 5 against them moving forward.
Yeah, it's funny because I after those games, I thought to myself, this will still go 6. And yesterday I had somebody text me that what you just said. They gave me the games the Clippers have played, and they're like, Chris Paul isn't hurt. He's just resting. They're like, watch out. So I want to go to this. So Steve Kerr, now maybe because he's coaching Team USA basketball, he said this, but he said, Kevin Durant's more gifted than Michael Jordan. And as Joy said, everybody thinks everything's a slight. And I do think Wilt, KD, Tracy McGrady, there are these Dominique guys that are just gifted. And it's not that they don't work hard. I mean, Wilt was always distracted. But they don't have this relentlessness. And I said, Jordan had brothers, roughhousing. Michael, and I think of Michael, I don't think gifted. I think super talented, but I think relentless. I do think KD could be, if he was more relentless, he could be the greatest basketball player ever. I don't think it's crazy to say that. Do you?
No, I mean, he won't be, but could have been, sure. And listen, he's going to end up one of the 12 greatest players of all time. He's knocking on that door already. But the comp, I was listening to your opening rant when you talked about this. The comp I was waiting for you to go to is Randy Moss, Jerry Rice. Randy's one of the greatest ever. And Randy is, without question, the most gifted wide receiver we have ever seen.
Yeah.
But as much as I love Randy, there is no argument to be made he was better than Jerry Rice. It just doesn't exist.
Right.
So, there are the natural physical gifts, and it's not like Kevin Durant has squandered anything. That's not it at all.
Right.
He has been spectacular, and I think you can argue he has gotten the most out of his immeasurable talent. But talent and giftedness is not everything it takes if you're talking about becoming the greatest of all time. And so you have LeBron, who is a different type of physically gifted.
Yeah.
I think LeBron, the natural gift LeBron has that is underrated is the court vision part of it. That KD, while he's a great passer, is not the LeBron-level passer, and that's the biggest discrepancy in their 2 games. And then you have Jordan, who relentlessness, I think that's the exact right word. The maniacal competitiveness. The part of Jordan that made him have to beat that usher or security guard in the quarters contest or rig the luggage off the conveyor belt contest against his teammates is part of what made him so special.
Yeah. Good. It's the same thing. Mahomes is more talented, but Brady's way better at quarterback. Okay. And I know.
You know what? This is unbelievable. Colin, hold on. Since you fit that in, I have to do one thing here real quick before we go. Right. It's important. Once upon a time, Colin Cowherd was the best local radio host in America.
Yeah.
I think then there was nobody wore the crown for a bit. Then I wore it for a little bit. Then FS1 hired me. Right now, the guy who's the best local radio host in America, you and I both know him.
Yeah.
His name's Danny Parkins.
He's great.
He teamed up with Emmanuel Acho's brother, Sam Acho. He just completed a couple hours ago, 24 hours of live radio, raised over $500,000 to build a supermarket on the west side of Chicago in a place where a liquor store got burnt down during the George Floyd protests. They called it the What About Chicago Radiothon. It's one of the most successful local radio things I've ever seen. It's a great thing that Emmanuel's brother and Danny did, and I know you're friends with Danny. I just wanted to give him a shout out and recognize it on this platform.
By the way, is it too late to donate to that?
It is, but I donated in your name. You just got to send me a check, so don't worry about it. I got you covered.
Okay, that sounds good to me, buddy. Nick Wright, thanks, man.
See you, Colin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.